Get your lozenges ready, Will, because we got tons to talk about, dude. Let's get into it. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 57 of Bringing the Heat. My name's Cody Pyatt, and with me, as always, the four-seam fastball co-host, Will Sism. Dude, I never in my life have I had three more jam-packed pages of stuff to talk to you about. I don't see how we get it done. I'd say if you're listening to this, buckle up, because, man, we are going to be hot and heavy on a lot of fun stuff here, dude. How are you doing?
Doing well, man. You said it. This, looking at our document here of topics, this feels like the middle of the regular season with playoff races, trade deadlines. But guess what? It's like the, I don't know, third week of the off season, and it's going to be insane. So looking forward to it. It's going to be an awesome episode.
Dude, 0 free agents have signed. It's just topics.
Thankfully.
Yeah, because our prediction, we've ironed that out a little bit, guys. So this is 57. We're going to dive into, we're going to continue our awards first off because we've had a ton. You got Manager of the Year, Rookie of the Year, Cy Young, MVP. We're going to hit on that real quick. And then we kind of have a where were we right, where were we wrong kind of moment where we look back at 2023. And, we're going to paint the picture like, are we good at this? Are we giving you guys good information? And, no one's batting 1,000%, Will.
We're holding ourselves accountable.
I think that's important. So that's what we're going to do. So, yeah, guys, hang in there. It's going to be fun. Anyway, 58, the next episode, free agent predictions. So we're really hoping we can make it a week without Ohtani signing to the Royals. Maybe stay tuned. Stay tuned, 58. I'll let you know where I think they're going. But, yeah, man, so it's going to be a lot of fun, and we appreciate you guys hanging in. To off-season number 2 of Bringing the Heat like we've been talking about. Unfortunately, dude, the baseball world was kind of, I don't know, there's never a good thing when this happens, and it just caught everybody off guard because Peter Sadler, the owner of the San Diego Padres, he passed away on Tuesday. He was only 63. No cause was given, and not that really matters. It's just really sad because from afar, and I'm not a San Diego fan. I don't really think you are either. But the city of San Diego loved this guy, and he was doing big things. I mean, he had pushed the payroll up and was trying to bring a championship. They made it to the NLCS in 2022. And, I mean, from all accounts that I've read, everybody loved this guy. And so it's always sad for San Diego. So our hearts go out to him. Anything on the Padres, dude?
Yeah, I agree with you. I was just watching some of the stuff on it, and seemed like hardly anybody had a bad word to say about this guy.
Yep.
He was very open. He was very honest. He was doing his best, like what you said, to bring a championship to San Diego and the franchise. And probably one of the coolest things that I saw, though, I don't know if you saw it, Cody, but Yu Darvish, and I think it was Yu Darvish's spouse, I think, was with him, and they actually delivered, like at the memorial forum at the stadium. Yeah. They actually were there and delivered like this wreath or flowers to the memorial. I just thought that kind of said a lot, honestly. So yeah, you said it. Just, sad day, obviously, especially for the Padres franchise. And hopefully, the franchise is able to continue to move forward, and continue on that legacy that he was building.
Yep. We're not really going to touch on the baseball implications and what this means. I mean, I know we talked about literally last episode. There was some financial stuff they're going through. Definitely takes a back seat at this point. Here's the last thing I'll say. San Diego, man, it's a baseball town. It's kind of like a small state because, you got the Dodgers. You got the Big Brothers just up the freeway. But it's the last Big Four team in San Diego, and their fans are electric. We saw it in the playoffs in 2022. So, our hearts go out to them. I don't know. It's tough. No good way to slice it. But we're going to move on here, Will. We're going to talk about some good things, some congratulatory things. Awards continued. We touched on Silver Sluggers, Gold Gloves last week. We got to now it's time for the encore, buddy. The entree, rather. Entree. It's going to be exciting because we're getting into the big stuff here.
Yeah, these are big.
Oh, man. Let's start with Manager of the Year. And in the National League, it goes to Skip Schumacher. And wow, what a year for this guy. He won the award in his very first year with the team, his very first year managing a professional baseball team. He led the Marlins to an 84-78 record and a wild card appearance. Of course, they got destroyed by the Phillies, but that's not what we're here to talk about, Will. We're here to talk about how he narrowly beat out Craig Counsell, who's now, of course, with the Cubs. And let me tell you something. Here's how close it was. There were 6 people who received a first place vote. But he edged him out, man. Anything on Skip?
You know what? I mean, congratulations to him. I thought he did a phenomenal job, managing the Marlins, obviously. And it's funny you mentioned Craig Counsell because reminds me so much of Craig Counsell, former player, kind of a utility guy, hard-nosed baseball player. And I think he just brings kind of that same edge from a manager's perspective. And obviously it's working. And, Marlins fans probably don't want to hear this, but it just feels like, give Skip a few years, keep doing what he's doing, building this thing in Miami. And then it feels like one of the big market teams are going to scoop him up if this kind of stuff continues. So, we'll obviously see what happens. Time will tell. But congratulations to him. I think he's well deserving, but I will say this. I feel like this award sometimes the managers of the teams that are perceived as very, very incredibly talented teams, like a Brian Snitker, for example, or a Rob Thompson in Philadelphia, I feel like they get penalized because they're perceived as having such a talented team, so therefore they should win.
Correct.
I would have loved to seen a guy like Rob Thompson win it, but hey, Skip's well deserving. But I just wanted to throw that out there.
Hey, I like it, dude. It was close. I mean, I know Torey Lovullo, who obviously took the Diamondbacks to the World Series. He got a first place vote. It was tight, and it's always, dude. It's so curious to me when you look at the managers because there's so much talk about how much of this is the front office, and then you have your analytics department and who's really writing down the lineups. Thanks a lot, Moneyball. Like great movie with Brad Pitt, this, that, and the other. But now nobody just looks at it and has full face that boom, this is the guy who's writing up the lineup and making all the decisions. I don't really know what to think about it. It's obviously pretty cool, and we'll see what he does. I like everything you say. Young guys like this who can succeed. I feel like he's going to do it for a long time. Another cool thing is he's not a catcher. A lot of catchers out there who turn into managers, and he was the middle infield guy, and he was a glue guy for that St. Louis team. So it's kind of cool. Moving on to the American League. Dude, I thought your boy Cash was going to get it. I really did. But in the AL, Brandon Hyde, he took over as the lead man in Baltimore in 2018, and from 2018 to 2021, Baltimore does what Baltimore does, dude. They lose 100 games a year. I'm like, this guy is surely out of the job, but they know something we don't because they stuck with him in 2022. They kind of got rolling in the right directions. They won 83 games, and then they were on full display. You talk about Toronto, and this was the trailer, and this was the movie. Well, this year was the movie in Baltimore because they won 101 games in the American League East. He received 27 of the 30 first place votes and 3 of the second place votes. So people love this guy. Anything on Brandon Hyde?
Yeah, I thought he's done an amazing job. And, kudos to the front office in Baltimore for sticking with this guy through the lean years. And now he's getting to benefit from all this talent that's obviously coming up at the same time. So, congratulations to Hyde. You mentioned Kevin Cash. Kevin Cash is awesome. And then I would have to say it, Bruce Bochy.
Yeah.
Maybe he just kind of gets discarded because he's kind of in another category, but I don't know how Bruce Bochy couldn't have had a little bit more votes in this.
I think he got second, but I'm with you.
But anyways, Hyde did a great job. I don't want to take anything away from him. But Boch, I think he would have gotten my vote.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, to just come off the couch.
Yeah.
and win the whole dang thing. Pretty
Yeah,
cool.
with a team that didn't sniff the playoffs previously, so that's
Oh,
pretty impressive.
hey, listen, you hang on to that Rangers talk, Will, because you're gonna have your moment, baby. I got you.
I'm set. This is like the cliffhanger here.
Yeah, I got Will queued up, guys. So just hang in there, and we're gonna give him. He has the floor here in a little bit to talk about his Rangers. I mean to tell you. Hey, moving on. Rookie of the year. A couple of studs, man, and it's going to be very curious to see where they land in fantasy next year in the National League. Corbin Carroll, was there any doubt? He rolled from start to finish in 2023, racked up some pretty incredible stats. How's about a 285 batting average, 25 home runs, 76 RBIs, 54 steals, and 116 runs scored. And of course, he, alongside that young core in Arizona, took the D-backs to their first World Series since 2021. Dude, this was no surprise, right?
Not at all. What an amazing year! What an amazing rookie season. I mean, here's the challenge for a guy like Corbin Carroll. I mean, obviously he was incredible. He is, as of this moment, he has pretty much established himself as a top 10 to 20 player in all of Major League Baseball, and he's 1 year in.
Yeah.
So the challenge is, can you do this year in, year out?
Mm-hmm.
That's the challenge, because next year, here's the thing. We don't want to see out of a guy who we think is about to become a superstar. We don't want to see a 250 batting average with, 18 home runs and just a down year. So
yeah.
The challenge right now is, can you continue to build on this? Can you, take the Diamondbacks back to the postseason, like what you helped contribute to this year? So that's what I want to see moving forward. But, this year was an absolute amazing rookie season, and he more than lived up to the hype.
No doubt, man. Hey, a little splash of fantasy talk here. Who do you think goes higher, him or Julio?
Julio.
Yeah, I'm still in the Julio boat. I think the pop's there, and yep.
Julio's different.
Yep.
He's just a different kind of talent.
Who goes higher, Julio or Acuna? I'm just kidding. We're gonna
barely Acuna. Acuna by one spot.
I mean, just find a coin and flip it, okay? Let's move on to the AL. I know this is your guy. We talked about him a little bit last episode because he is also a Gold Glove winner in the AL. Gunnar Henderson, who, I mean, he got off to a really slow start. I remember we got on these mics and talked about they might send him down. This is how tough he was playing. But then he put it all together in the second half, and his numbers really kind of pieced together as well. A 255 average, 28 home runs, 82 RBIs, 100 runs scored, and he sold 10 bags. So lots of fun. I know he's your guy, and you're going to be looking to take him in drafts next year, right?
I love Gunnar Henderson, man. He is, man. You just watch him play, and there's just certain guys that make the game look easy when it's really not, and he's one of them.
Yeah.
And I don't want to put the cart before the horse yet. Just like what I said with Corbin Carroll, the challenge to Gunnar is, can you continue to get better and better and truly become like a top 5, top 10 overall player in the game? These are two amazing rookies, and going back to Gunnar though, he I don't know what you think about this, Cody, but he reminds me very, very much. You know how I love my comparisons, but he reminds me a lot of Corey Seager.
Yeah.
Giving me major Corey Seager vibes.
Yeah. Dude, I like it. We'll see if he can. I mean, he's got to stay healthier than Seager, but
he does.
Yeah,
he does.
I like it, dude, for sure. No doubt about this. No questions here. Orioles have got themselves a really solid young core, and
the pay window is open at Orioles. This is your time these next 4 or 5 years.
Yep, because
don't pull a Brewers. Don't pull a Milwaukee Brewers. We're going to talk about the Brewers later. Do not pull a Brewers.
Yep, we got dude. It's so bad, man. Yeah. This is their time to go spin because they might not lock these guys down long term. Hey,
and I am going to stay on the Orioles. Here I'm bringing the heat. We are going to hold the Orioles accountable because this is their window right now,
dude. That's the new slogan. Bringing the heat. holding the Orioles accountable.
That's it.
Dude, it sounds good. Just rolls right off the tongue. Hey, last note on this. Fifth time, both winners in the Rookie of the Year were unanimous. Everybody voted for these guys to win it. So
well deserved.
yeah, not a lot of second place. I mean, honestly in the AL though, you had like Tristan Casas and Josh Young,
yeah,
who maybe should got a look, maybe should got a vote, but good for Gunnar.
They're both really good players. They just weren't on the level of Gunnar, especially once he got rolling, and especially given the results that Baltimore ended up getting in the season too.
Dude, you got to be awesome at baseball if your name's Gunnar. You know,
that's right.
He's not going to be like an accountant. This is my accountant, Gunnar.
Right.
No, this is the shortstop for the Baltimore Orioles. Gunnar, okay, that's what it is. No, hey, Cy Young, let's talk about it, dude. This is big hardware now we're getting into. And in the National League, your boy, he's probably been up all night. He always looks sleepy. Blake Snell. Talk about striking the free agency iron while it's hot, because he has just locked down his second Cy Young Award, and he is the 7th player to do it in both leagues. So that's just kind of cool. He did it. He led the league in ERA. We've talked about this. ERA and walks. And I have listened to some interviews where he's talking about like, yeah, I'll walk somebody. If it's a 3-1 pitch, I'm not going to put it middle. I'll get him on first. I'll get the next guy out. And it's just kind of a like a backwards way of thinking. But, man, did he get the job done this year. In 180 innings pitched, he had a 2.25 ERA, a 1.19 whip. So there that is, 234 Ks and 99 walks, which, again, led the league. But well over, 1K per 9. Dude was solid for San Diego, and he's going to be pitching somewhere else next year. It's very exciting.
Yep, he probably will be. What a year to have going into free agency, though. I mean, this guy's going to break the bank too in free agency. Somebody's going to have to, pay a pretty penny. But Congratulations to Snellzilla, man. Do you know how? I was thinking about this. You know how impressive it is to have a 1.1 whip and to lead the league in walks? That usually,
It'll be,
those things usually do not go together.
Yeah.
Because a 1.1 whip, that's solid.
Yeah.
Obviously it could be a little bit better as far as just the elite of the elite, but when you lead the league in walks and you still have a 1.1 whip, that's impressive stuff.
No doubt.
But congratulations to him, man. Former Tampa Bay Ray. I'm glad that he's having success and he's kind of figured it out after a couple of down years, and truly one of the game's great arms, for sure.
Yeah. Dude, it's going to be very interesting. I guess we'll hit on it next week, but this is not a guy who averages 6 innings to start. So
right.
How much money is he going to get in free agency? Where's he going to go? I think the benchmark is perfect at like 200 mil. It's going to be, man, guys, tune in to 58. We're going to have a great time. It's going to be a lot of fun. In the AL, I don't think there was any doubt. This guy was unanimous as well. By the way, Snell, he got 28 of 30. Garrett Cole got 30 of 30 for the New York Yankees in a year that the Yankees landed in 4th place in the division. Their ace, superstar, ace of all aces, wins his first Cy Young. It's kind of been, it was like him and Nolan Ryan as the 2 best players to never win a Cy Young. Well, can't say that anymore. Great year for him. What about in 209 innings pitched, a 2.63 ERA, whip under 1, 0.98, 222 Ks, 48 walks. So there's half a Snell. Dude was just electric all year, huh, Will?
Yeah, I mean, you know us. We are not by any means Yankees fans, but I'll be honest, I was kind of happy for Garrett Cole. I feel like he's fairly or unfairly, I feel like he's been heavily scrutinized at times, especially since he's gotten to New York. And I understand it's a huge market. It's the Yankees. But, man, he has been really, really, really great during his time in the Pinstripes. And shame on the Yankees for not putting a team around him and Judge these past couple of years, because Garrett Cole has been everything they could have asked for and maybe even more. But I just want to say congratulations, well deserved. truly one of the game's great pitchers over these past half decade, we'll say.
Yeah.
And again, I was happy to see him actually get it this time. I think it was well deserved.
Yeah, dude. The thing about him too is you don't ever hear anything off the field. He just goes to work and does his thing.
Seems
And I
like a
wanted to,
great guy, honestly. Everything I've ever read on him.
I mean, only thing bad about him is he played for the Yankees. That is
Yeah.
super tough for us, but otherwise you love him.
Yeah.
Let's see. Just want to do a quick glance at his just overall stats. It looks like quick math, guys. Excluding the COVID year, 5 of the last 6 seasons, he's had over 200 innings pitched. So,
It's a
in a
machine.
world, dude, no doubt, in a world where like the workhorses, no more, we still got one, and he is in New York, 33 years old. So I kind of feel like he could win another one. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like,
absolutely.
now that he's popped the champagne on this one, look out, guys, because
Reminds me a lot of Justin Verlander.
yeah, I'm with you, dude. Like, the interesting thing, Kershaw's like 35, but we talk about him like he's 45. I feel like Garrett Cole is going to very much fall into that group of Max Scherzer, Justin Verlanders.
Mhm.
They're going to do it until they might switch hands, dude. We don't know.
Right.
Might be left-handed at the end of their career.
Yeah, Cole just gives me the vibes that he's got several more really, really strong seasons in him.
Yep.
Kershaw, I love Kershaw,
Love
but
him.
it feels like he's hanging on by a thread health-wise, and I just hope for the best whenever he returns. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, free agent as well. So very interesting.
Correct.
There. I keep I keep pointing to 58. I'm excited. You know what I'm excited about? This is our last set of awards we're going to talk about, and it's the big one: the most valuable player. For the first time in history, MLB history, I didn't know this. Will we have 2 unanimous MVPs, 1 in each league? And in the NL, say it with me, Ronald Acuna Jr., slam dunk #1 fantasy campaign for Acuna, as he just put up video game numbers. What about a 337 average, 41 home runs, 106 RBIs, 149 runs scored, and 73 steals? Dude, there's no 40-50 club. There's no 40-60 club. He created the 40-70 club. The Braves, they have got themselves a dude.
Yes, they do. What an unbelievable year. Honestly, I was maybe a little bit surprised that he won it unanimously. I thought somebody might give a couple of votes to Mookie Betts, just because, there's just, I don't know, a lot of people out there, I think especially the voters, seemingly really, really appreciate what Mookie Betts does. But man, I don't want to take anything away from Ronald Acuna. He was amazing. Historic year, unlike anything we've ever seen before.
Mm-hmm.
And he plays on an incredible team, which obviously doesn't hurt things. So yeah, congratulations to him. Well deserved. And absolutely, if you get lucky enough to get a #1 pick next year, don't even think about it. Just select that guy for the Braves, number 13.
Yep, lock it in, dude. In the AL, another slam dunk. You have Shohei Ohtani, who won it unanimously in 2021, did it again in 2023. First time ever, one player's won 2 MVPs, unanimous vote. So, dude, very cool. Very cool. We're kind of seeing some baseball history. And I don't know, maybe if Judge stays healthy and pushes 60 again, he's probably going to take some votes. Corey Seager, he got second. Big thing was the health. I mean, he had some great numbers, but if you stack up even just offensively what Shohei did versus Corey Seager, his numbers were actually better, which, I mean, he's a unicorn. He's a unicorn. Here's some pitching stats: 10-5 with a 3.14 ERA, a 1.06 WHIP, 167 Ks in 132 innings. And then on the bat side, the hitting side, 304 average, 44 homers, 95 RBIs, 102 runs, and 20 steals. This is a guy who went out, offensively the first week in September, and I know we were thinking he could push 50. Yeah, dude. What can we even say about this guy?
It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. And like what you just said, I mean, the guy missed basically the last month of the year. It's just unbelievable. I mean, I've said it before, we just need to appreciate it while we've got it.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be fascinating, like what we're going to touch on next week. the whole free agency with him. We've again never seen anything like what we're about to see in free agency with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy to think about of all the insanely talented guys in Major League Baseball, and specifically talking about the American League. A guy could miss the whole last month of the season. He could
Yeah.
play on with all due respect, a really bad team.
Yep.
And just unanimously
Nailed it.
win the MVP award. It's unbelievable.
Yep, dude. Does he win it every year if he's healthy? I mean, seriously.
It would take. It's just going to take something insane to possibly beat him.
Yeah.
Like Judge, obviously setting the record 2 years ago now. And then, you could see a guy like Julio. Obviously, if Ohtani stays in the American League, Julio Rodriguez will probably have a couple of years to where it's going to be like, okay, got to give it to Julio here, maybe. But I mean, other than that, man, if there's not anything historic going on, Ohtani's probably going to win it.
Dude, so if he goes to the National League, it's just going to be Acuna and Ohtani.
Pretty much.
Like just every year, it's like, well, here we go.
Yeah.
We can just start a little tallying because it's going to be those two dudes.
Yeah.
Man, that's pretty cool. Pretty cool. All right, so those are our awards. Very exciting. I don't know if it's a good thing, bad thing. It really seemed to land kind of very predictable this year. Outside of the managers.
Yeah.
I think if we put money on it, we would have done well. So let's look at some other stuff we did well here. Will, let's talk about where were we right in 2023. We come on here once a week for now 57 weeks. We say a lot of stuff, and it's kind of fun. It was kind of hard to pare down and pick three things. I think we were right more than three times. I just want to go ahead and preface, especially Will. Should have seen Will and his Roman candle picks. He was unbelievable. That should have been four. Was just Will's Roman candle players because they were great like every week. It was insane. Let's talk about where we were right. Corbin Carroll to win the Rookie of the Year. That's number one. Maybe a cold take coming into 2023, but you got to take some credit because, we both kind of landed there. And you never know what these guys are going to do in the bigs. And so pretty dang awesome. We talked about it a little bit, but where do you see this guy landing in drafts next year?
That's a good question. I mean, I would imagine. So, I mean, just thinking off the top of my head, obviously Acuna is going to go number one. Julio more than likely is going to go 2 in most drafts. Mookie Betts probably 3 or 4. Honestly, once those couple of guys get off the board, I have zero problem taking Corbin Carroll around 5. I mean, you're banking on a power speed combination that a guy in his first year hit, 25, stole over 50 bases, hits for a solid average. So he's not going to hurt anything there, it seems. And the potential's there to only get better. So, there might be more sure things, I guess I could say, guys that will go a little bit behind him. But, when you're looking at that somewhere around that 5th pick and you're trying to swing for the fences, guy that has got a solid floor but has insane upside. I mean, I have zero problem going around 5 or 6 with Carroll. And Dynasty, man, if you're in a Dynasty league, it's who do you want after Acuna?
Yeah.
Who do you want after Julio? I mean, the list gets really short. You're probably going between Bobby Witt and Corbin Carroll at 3 or 4. So, that's kind of my 2 cents on it.
I like it, dude. It's going to be so interesting because it just transitioning from the point where he was kind of like people were taking him in like the 6th, 7th, 8th round. It was like, whoa, this is nuts, And now,
and at the time it felt high, because it's like we've only seen this guy in the majors for 1 month, but now it seems crazy. It's like, man, we could have gotten this guy in the 7th, 8th round a year ago, which is just nuts. Like
now,
but I just want to say this, like these guys like Corbin Carroll and Acuna and Julio, these guys are the exception.
True.
Guys like you don't see these kind of guys that just have this ascension right away very often.
Yeah.
Usually it takes a while. I mean, look at a guy like Jared Kelenic. He looks like
Yeah.
he's finally starting to figure it out, but he was also viewed as like a can't miss kind of guy.
Mhm.
And man, it was rough going those first few years.
He
So
missed a little bit. Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, these guys are the exceptions. Don't think that you getting a rookie next year in the 8th round is going to turn out to be a guy like Corbin Carroll. These guys are the exceptions to the rules for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. Just because we've had back-to-back years where you had J. Rod and now
Yes.
Corbin Carroll, because that's what we were asking: is this guy 2023 Julio?
Right.
And a little bit he was. He's awesome. Number two, where were we right? This is strictly a wheel one because coming off of a underwhelming 2022 campaign, where in which the Rangers were 68-94. We did a preseason episode predictions, and he said, don't blink too much if they get a wild card and do something. And I mean, if that's not exactly what happened, because I did not believe in this team. I didn't think they could make that leap, but somebody on this podcast did. Will, take it away, bud.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I just had a feeling. Like just some things sometimes some things that come out of your mouth don't make sense, but you just have a feeling about it. That was kind of my things going into the year with the Rangers. Like obviously I knew that Marcus Semien, Corey Seager, that middle infield is going to be as good as anybody's got in all of Major League Baseball.
Mm-hmm.
And the question is can they solidify obviously the lineup around them,
Mm-hmm.
which I did not have any idea that was going to be as good as it was, like the rest of the lineup.
Mm-hmm.
But more importantly, I loved what they did in the offseason. Like I did really like them bringing in a guy like Jacob deGrom. Obviously, he got hurt.
Yep.
But you could tell that they were trying to address pitching because they felt really good about that lineup and especially that core middle infield. And then obviously bringing in a guy like Bruce Bochy. Bruce Bochy ain't coming into a team just to lose,
Yeah.
And so, again, I just had a feeling. I didn't necessarily know that it would turn out like it did,
Mm-hmm.
but I did have a feeling that it was going to pretty much be a good turnaround for them. And hey, here we are.
Dude, it's absolutely the coolest. What a great call. So where do you see them landing next year, division-wise? You think they could run it back, win the whole
I don't think. I don't see any reason why they can't. I mean, they've done it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you talk about a team that just knows how to win. When you go undefeated on the road
Mm-hmm.
in the Major League Baseball playoffs as a wild card team, you're pretty darn good.
Yeah.
And so if they can hold the fort down until Jacob deGrom gets healthy next year,
Yeah.
I mean, think about how scary this team could be if a healthy Jacob deGrom is their number one starter in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Get Max Scherzer back.
Yeah.
A lot of Josh Hader rumors to Texas.
Yes, I could totally see that. And I just like what you were saying there, I expect them to be aggressive in free agency. I think they're going to add to this roster because they know that window is open.
Yeah.
You can never discount Houston. Houston's going to be solid, but as I said going into this year, I just don't think Houston is the juggernaut that they have been. And so I think that will continue. I think they'll still be really good, but they're not going to be a juggernaut. The team that, if I'm the Rangers, that scares me a little bit going into the offseason is Seattle. If Seattle makes a couple of really good moves in the offseason, mainly to solidify that lineup somehow, I love what the Mariners have. So it's a really tough division, but I fully expect the Rangers to, at least be a contender next year as well.
I'm with you, dude. I'm with you. I don't know. Yeah, we'll see. I don't know if I have them winning the division, but dude, it just depends on. My mother-in-law was asking me about this. About, hey, what do you think about these predictions? I guess somebody's already making like way too early 2024. I'm sure lots of
Yeah.
people are doing it. Division predictions, but it's like, we haven't had free agency.
Right.
These teams are going to look so different. So my answer kind of hinges on that. If they can go out and make some, they don't have to be big moves, especially, because I feel like the offensive side of the ball for Texas is so
Oh,
good.
it's set.
Yeah, so just like, shore up that bullpen. You found a guy in Spores, maybe. He had a 5.5 ERA in the regular season and then a 0.5 ERA in the postseason. Like, are you going to get that guy? Which guy are you getting? Make some moves, solidify that bullpen, and then we'll see. But, dude, kudos to you. That was a really cool kind of thing that we caught on tape. I thought that was a really cool call. Last thing that I feel like we got right, and, I think we make great calls on a lot of our position groups, and we'll hit on that as we do our position breakdowns, kind of volume 2.0 for this year. But one that I felt really rang true was when we looked at the outfield and we said, hey, these outfielders, and I guess this is no extraordinary call, but it really did turn out to be true. First round outfield strength is out of this world. But then after that, you run into some depth issues, and so we talked about the importance in that first round going out and grabbing a blue chip outfielder because you're not going to have one at the turn. But in most drafts, literally 8 of the first 12 were outfielders. And I have some names for you. You got a little Acuna action. Julio Rodriguez, Aaron Judge, Yordan Alvarez, Juan Soto, Mookie Betts, Fernando Tatis. And then the fringe guy, who literally landed or usually landed, into first, middle of second, which he's going to fall this year, is Mike Trout. He would be 8th. So I
would throw Kyle Tucker in there.
Yeah, I like Tucker over Trout by a long shot, but I'm a little bit of a Houston guy.
Yeah.
But I think for fantasy, I think the numbers are there. So just not in October if you do some kind of postseason thing, because he is a ghost, as Will pointed out to me many times.
He was.
But yeah, we talked about how past the first round, you're going to run into a situation where you have to get a guy who's all power, like a Kyle Schwarber, or maybe a guy who can steal you some bases and hit for average, like a Steven Kwan. So I just like that call by us. Anything you want to take away from that, Will?
Yeah, I'm with you. It's just, and we'll talk about this in depth when we get to our outfield preview again in the offseason, but I call it difference makers. You got those 8, 9 guys. Those are difference makers. Like, those are cornerstone pieces of, if we're talking fantasy, of your fantasy team. These are guys you have to draft in the first round pretty much, or you're not going to get them, right?
Yeah.
But to our point, like, once you get past those 8 or 9 guys, like, there's a steep drop off. And don't get us wrong, there's some really good players that are, beneath those 8 or 9 guys.
Yeah.
But they are not at the level of those top guys. They're not as consistent. They don't do everything. They're one trick ponies, whatever the case may be. So everything you said there, I felt like everything we were saying about that position going into the season pretty much played out kind of the way we thought it would. And honestly, it feels kind of similar going into 2024.
It does. I'm excited to having done this for a year, look back and say, like, what's the same, what's different, and then years in the future, being able to do that. I think it's gonna be fun to watch fantasy baseball evolve and just the landscape of everything. Speaking of evolving, let's evolve to our next part of this segment, Will, which is where we got wrong. I have quite a bit of joy in my life, kind of laughing at my own mistakes, and so I felt like it might be most appropriate to dive into maybe my worst call of the 2023 baseball season. And his name is a young man for your Blue Jays, Alek Manoah. Because on the prediction episode, I picked him to win the Cy Young in the American League. So that's
not about that.
So pretty bad call by me. And you know what's hilarious is I'd written out a little blurb about like what a year he had in 2022, and now we got this great defense behind him. They've made all these additions of Varsho and Kiermaier, and this guy's ERA is going to be mid, sub twos. I don't got an answer for you. It just didn't happen. And now you go from a guy who literally top 3 Cy Young in 2022. He was MIA at the end of the year in AAA. He just didn't show up. He said, nope, I'm not, no questions asked. He's played in the 5th and he's not showing up. So the future is a little murky for this guy. You know, we don't know if we're going to see him with the Jays, with another team. Is he who knows? But you know, I think I was the last man on the planet to drop him. So I feel like
Yes.
I got to raise my hand a little bit because you know I really hang on to that, and he ended up being a little bit of an anchor for me in a league or two. Here's some stats for you: 3-9, 3-9. I forgot how bad they were. 3-9, a 5.87 ERA, a 1.74 WHIP, 79 Ks and 87 innings pitched. You know, we're looking at a potential. This is where I'm spinning it now. We are looking at
Bounce back.
Bounce back player of the year. Comeback player of the year. Well, that's what we're looking at. So, dude, we'll see. You know, this is either going to be the beginning of the end for this kid or just like a weird blip in the radar. You know, a little off topic, but a lot of people deem this as potentially what the issue was. Is they're coming down on the pitch clock potentially from 20 to 18 seconds out of the stretch. So it might not be getting easier, Alec. You know what I mean, dude? So, you know, hang in there, bud. You got a believer in me forever. I got to get they ought to be pretty cheap. I'm going to get a Manoah jersey and just
he ought to send you one.
He ought to autograph it and send it to me, no doubt. We don't know where he is, but we love him anyway. Anything on Alek Manoah and my loyalty?
Okay, so two things really quick.
Yeah.
So the difference between you and me, so we were both, I'll admit, I thought going into the season, I thought Alek Manoah would be solid, you know. And I can remember, I was thinking about this the other day. I remember in our draft, it was, you know, early mid rounds. And I remember looking at my cheat sheet and I was thinking, I was like, oh, 2 Blue Jays. Should I pick Kevin Gausman or should I pick Alek Manoah? I ended up picking Kevin Gausman, which obviously looks brilliant now.
Yeah.
But I say that to say, like, he was in the same conversation preseason as Kevin Gausman.
Yeah.
And Kevin Gausman ended up being one of the top pitchers in all of baseball, especially in fantasy. So, anyways, but the difference between Cody and I is I was ready to drop him about 3 starts in, and Cody was hanging on for dear life. So, it's funny though. But my other point is, do you also remember a lot of quote unquote experts or media experts preseason? One of the hot names in the AL Cy Young preseason predictions was Dylan Cease.
Yes.
And Dylan Cease, if you just purely look at numbers, WHIP, ERA, I know the strikeouts are always going to be there with him, but man, you talk about another guy that people just totally whiffed on.
Yep.
And so I just wanted to throw that out there too. Like, let's not forget about anybody out there that said somebody like Dylan Cease was going to take home the hardware for the AL, because his season was pretty much every bit as disastrous.
Yeah, we could have grouped him together. That's a beautiful call. I didn't attach myself to him as much as I did Alek Manoah, but yeah. Weird thing about Cease is he really had one great year, which of course was 2022, and then everything around that, he's been kind of wild. Like you said, the K's per nine is going to live around 10 or 11, which is great, but the ERA is going to be going to be a little elevated. He's another guy who might be finding a new place to pitch, because I feel like the White Sox might move on from him. We're going to talk a little White Sox later, guys. We are literally touching everything on the bingo card today. It's going to be a lot of fun. Kind of piggybacking off of the Alek Manoah missed call. Maybe a slight missed call. I think we both had success in our leagues drafting a little bit more offensively strong will, but I think overall, we may have missed a little bit on the starting pitching depth. One of the pillars, it seemed, when we were building our 2023 draft prep kind of plan was the fact that we believed that the starting pitching depth was going to be, unlike we've ever seen. You're looking at, there's not really a one like a SP1, so you can wait because it's just going to be like dealer's choice, whatever flavor ice cream you like, and then you can be successful with whoever's left at like round 3 or 4. And that was a little true, but I don't think it was as true as we thought it ended up being. Any thoughts on that, my man?
Yeah, everything you said. I mean, and here's the thing. I don't know that I'm trying to think of the easiest way to say it, but I don't think that we're wrong in saying that the depth of talent starting pitcher wise in all of Major League Baseball, I don't know that it's ever been as good as it truly is, especially when
Yeah.
you look at velocity.
Yeah. Yeah.
But to your point, like when we look at fantasy and you look at, all of the categories pretty much in every league, if you play in a category or a roto type league, it's going to be hinging on ERA, WHIP, obviously strikeouts, things like that. The thing that I did not anticipate this year
Mm-hmm.
is how many guys would be so inconsistent.
Yep. Yep.
Like, I think if we could boil it down as simply as we can, there were very few guys
Mm-hmm.
who basically every start you feel like you could roll out there and you were going to get a quality start with
Correct.
strong strikeout ratios.
Yeah.
Like
Or
those,
just not torch your other ratios. Yeah, like you're whipping your ERA. I mean,
yes, like those guys were so few and far between. And honestly, I don't know if it was the rule changes.
Yeah.
I don't know if hitters figured things out.
Yeah.
I don't know what the answer is. But basically, what I'm saying is the depth just didn't seemingly happen because there were so many guys that were inconsistent. I mean, I felt like I could count on one hand the amount of starting pitchers who, if you look at their start by start pretty much all year, and if you let's just throw out one or two bad starts,
Mm-hmm.
there would probably only be 5 or 6 guys that if you looked at every single start that were pretty solid in every one of those. It seemed like even a guy like Spencer Strider, who I don't think there's any guy more dominant when he's on.
Yeah.
He went through multiple stretches this year to where he was extremely hittable.
Yep.
And so I just say all that to say the depth did not pan out like we anticipated. And those guys, if you were able to get some of those really consistent guys, man, you were probably a huge leg up in your league.
Yep. 100%, dude. The tricky thing is like picking who that's going to be, because the answer was the only guy who just didn't get scarred, it felt like at all, was Garrett Cole. Yeah. Everybody else, like I'm rolling through the Rolodex.
Or not Smiley for the Cubs. Justin Steele.
Justin Steele. Dude, so real quick. Yeah, that's a great call too. He really he had a pretty solid year. I didn't even think he was top 3 in the NL Cy Young. It was
he was great.
Yeah, it was Snell, Webb, Gallen were the top 3, which is dude, big disrespect to
Steele was awesome.
He's going to be like, somebody can get him mid rounds. He'll go sooner than that. I would imagine like 6, 7, 8. But he's solid. Hey, real quick, just looking at our starting pitching list, because I was trying to do a little diagnosis of like what happened.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of down years, a lot of injuries, man. Just combing through here. You got Sandy, he got hurt. DeGrom, he got hurt. Woodruff, he's constantly hurt. Cease had a terrible year. So there's 1 through 9.
Right.
Those are like the big 4, that 1 through 9. At number 31, the runner-up in the Cy Young in the National League, we had Logan Webb, 31 on our list, dude. But just a couple guys, Carlos Rodon, he got
disaster.
Hurt. McClanahan was good, but he's going to be hurt in 2024. So is Sandy. So you want to talk about 2 big dogs not in the conversation. Julio Urias, can't even talk about him.
Yeah.
You got Alek Manoah. We did deep dive on him. Shane Bieber, he got hurt. Who else? Javier never found it for the Astros. It felt like today. This year, Darvish, bad year. Tristan McKenzie got hurt. Robbie Ray got hurt. So a lot of big names. And dude, everything you said about, I loved what you said, because it felt like in 22 you could set a guy and feel pretty good about it. And then you have your 2 guys up top, and then you got maybe have to play the matchups. And then you have the last people in your rotation are like PRN as needed kind of players. It's going to be very interesting to dive in. I guarantee you we're going to see, because we did a couple mock drafts. No pitchers taken in the first couple rounds. So I bet you that changes. That's for sure, Will.
Yeah, pitching is going to be I think going into 2024, pitching is going to be like, how do I even say it? Like, there's going to be so many like varying strategies going into 2024. I think more so than there's maybe ever been.
Yeah. Yep.
Because the tendency is always to overreact based on the year before. And so I feel like there's going to be some people in your leagues out there in 2024 that just jump all over pitching as pretty early.
Yeah.
And it might be an overreaction, it might not, but I just know that there will be some people out there that just attack it hard based on what went on in 2023.
Yeah, dude, I think it's a beautiful call. Hey, here's one that wasn't a beautiful call. I got a couple more misses I just want to hit on because, dude, I'm telling you, it's kind of fun. New York Mets, San Diego Padres. I had the forethought to put them together. I should have put Manoah and Cease. But the Mets and the Padres, dude, this was literally my NLCS prediction on the prediction show, so that's tough. They made big offseason moves, and it just didn't click. It's like it's kind of the old adage, like, hey, this team looks good on paper, but you got to go on the field and do it.
Yep.
Obviously it's well documented. You had JV and, Scherzer was already there, but you added JV to the Mets and that pitching staff. And then for San Diego, you ripped my heart out in Boston. You got Xander to that core four now in San Diego, and they just were awful. You had the Padres ending at 82 and 80. And then obviously the Mets did that major sell-off at the deadline. They ended at 75 and 87. Dude, this is kind of bad on us, but it's worse on them. Terrible years, guys.
100%. I mean, I also had the Padres going into the World Series, so I just hard to believe that both of those teams were as off as we thought. I still thought the Braves would win the NL East, so that's why I didn't pick the Mets.
Yeah.
But I thought that the Mets would be right there.
Yeah.
But yeah, San Diego was the big mystery for me. I just was shocked at just how off they were pretty much all year long. And but I tell you what, it'll just be really, really interesting to see what both of those teams do in the offseason, what happens, and really how they try to rebound in 2024, because they're there's going to be some pressure on some of those guys, especially the high-paid guy on those rosters to get it turned back around as early as 2024.
Yeah, dude. I don't know who I like more going into next year, just because of it's very unsettled in both camps.
Yes.
Because I guess if I had to pick one, I'd go New York, because I think San Diego is going to get rid of Soto, and they're trying to shed payroll. It's just so weird how quickly it turns from, hey, we're gonna shell out literally $280 million.
Yep.
For Xander, and then now it's like, okay, well, we got to figure out a way to get rid of Soto because we're not going to be able to pay him.
Yep.
I don't know. And you have your Cy Young winner leaving. So I guess I'd go New York, knowing that Cohen can just, if he wants to, can spend a ton of money. We'll see what happens there. But it's going to be a wild ride, guys. Buckle up in the National League. Number 4, last one. And I feel like we had this was Will's call. He texted me. He was like, what do you think of adding this? I was like, I love it so much, because we gave this man a hard time for where he was, his ADP of 7. And if you're a long-time Bringing the Heat fan, you know who I'm talking about, Mr. Bobby Witt Jr. We kind of laughed him out of the building. Like, come on, 7? Yeah, it's like the first shortstop coming off the board is Bobby Witt Jr. And let me tell you something. He had a great year. You don't know about it because he plays for Kansas City.
Right.
Talk about these stats of a 276 average, 30 home runs, 96 RBIs. Again, leading off for Kansas City. He scored 97 runs and almost 50 bases. He got 49 steals. Dude's a stud. And now I think he might have earned the ADP of 7. Problem is he lost the third base eligibility. It's going to be interesting to see where he falls. But dude, it's time to kind of raise our hands and say, Bobby Witt, you proved us wrong.
Yeah, I'll take this one. I feel like I was leading the Bobby Witt hate club there for a while, and I'll be honest, like, he didn't get off to a great start, and I was like, oh, here we go,
Yep.
But I tell you what, the second half especially for him was very impressive. It's almost like the game really started to slow down, so to speak, for him, and just his talent just kind of rose to the top. Kudos to him. As hard as I was on him, just saying stuff, like, obviously the talent was always there.
Yep.
And I never thought he was a bad player. I just wasn't sure about that whole 7 overall going into the season. But
Yeah.
man, he looks legit to me now. Power, speed, combinations off the charts.
Mhm. Young, got nice hair.
Yeah, right. And my challenge to him and to the Royals organization is let's build around this guy and
Mhm.
let's start seeing some more wins translated on the field. Because here's the thing, man. It's great for fantasy, if you've got him on your team.
Yeah.
But I'm just going to say it. Does anybody really care if you're putting up 40 home runs and 100 RBIs on a team that wins 60 games every year? Does anybody honestly care? Not really.
He should reach out to Mike Trout. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
so
how do I deal with this?
Yeah, so I mean that's really my thing with Bobby Witt. Like how can and I know this is not totally in his control, but how can he start getting some more wins on that team, and that front office especially? How can we start putting some more talent around a guy like this to make sure that he's just not in a wasteland during the prime years of his career?
Yeah. Well, just looking at the Royals roster, you got Vinny Pasquantino. He's pretty solid.
But he was hurt all year.
He's hurt all year, man. It looks
got to
like
get him on the field.
Looks like you need a solid. Sal Perez is probably past his prime, so you probably need a catcher, need a second baseman, third baseman. You got your shortstop.
Let's start with the pitching. I couldn't name. I am as big of a baseball junkie as anybody, and I swear I don't think I can name more than 2 or 3 pitchers on the whole Royals roster.
Oh, dude, Zach Greinke,
right?
Another
Hernandez closed for him after they traded Chapman last year, and I'm telling you, I couldn't tell you. Oh, the dude for the Rangers that was awesome. It does look like they got a stud there, Reagans.
Yeah,
Cole
Reagans, yeah.
From the Chapman trade. But
dude,
outside of them, I couldn't tell you anybody that's an arm for the Royals.
What about did he go to LA? Ryan, your boy was the lefty in
Yarborough.
Right. Did he go to LA? I feel like they traded for him at the deadline.
He did.
But at the beginning of the year, he was a Royal. Dude, this is a fun game. Could we name more Oakland, Las Vegas A's, excuse me? Could we?
Yeah. So Royals, please do everybody a favor and let Bobby Witt flourish in a team that has a prayer, and please get some talent around him. But Bobby Witt, I apologize. You're legit.
Yep.
Let's keep doing it moving forward and keep getting better.
Bring in the heat. We're going to hold the Orioles accountable, and we're going to hold the Kansas City Royals accountable.
We are America's accountability brokers here for baseball.
Oh, man, that's pretty awesome. Okay, yep, I loved everything you said. Let's move on because we're pushing the hour mark here, team. Yep. We appreciate you guys listening to us. We have made it to the final segment of the episode, and everybody goes, woohoo, it's the hit and run topics. We're going to hit on these, and then we're going to run. But, there's too many. It's kind of like a modified what's on the grill because this was 2 points in the middle of the week, and then stuff just kept happening. And I don't know what you want us to do, guys. We're going to talk about it. So let's hit on kind of the most recent thing, very interesting. Kind of made my light bulb go, what is happening here? Brandon Woodruff, non-tendered by the Brewers. He's expected to miss all of 2024. He's going to have surgery on his right shoulder. That's his throwing shoulder. It's an anterior capsule in his right shoulder, which Will and I were talking about it before we hit record. I'm pretty sure that's pretty tough to come back from. But he had a projected salary of $11.6 million in his final year of arbitration. And then, of course, you have to sign him or he's a free agent. So they weren't going to pay that money just to have the exclusive negotiating rights. So he's a free agent now. It's going to be very interesting to see, is the team going to give him a 2-year deal? I don't see them signing him for one just to rehab, but I also don't see him not getting signed at all. Will, what do you think on this, dude?
Yeah, it was shocking to see this, whenever it came out middle of the week this past week. And, man, I mean, I don't know about you, Cody, but when I think of the Brewers these past several years when they've actually been contenders, like I think of 3 guys. I think of Christian Yelich. Mm-hmm. I think of Corbin Burns. And I think of Brandon Woodruff. And you can throw in guys like Hader, who was there for, multiple years, and then Devin Williams in the back into that bullpen. But, I mean, you talk about a guy who, honestly, you could argue is the franchise guy.
Yeah.
I mean, let's face it, Brandon Woodruff, when he is on the mound,
Mm-hmm.
he is one of the absolute studs in Major League Baseball. And so I was a little bit surprised that it just kind of went down this way. It feels very abrupt.
Yep.
But I tell you what, man, alarm bells are sounding in Milwaukee. Like this feels like it's about to get blown up
Yeah.
quickly.
Yeah.
And
We're gonna have Middle America A's
yes, I
dude.
mean,
On the same day that I read that they've extended their lease, or they've said, hey, we're gonna do renovations to whatever. It's not. It's well, what was it? It used to be Miller Park.
Miller Park.
I don't
Yeah,
think it's Miller Park
it's
anymore.
some sort of insurance now, but
gotta be, baby. Gotta get that.
Yeah, but
No,
it's I don't know,
they're
man.
there until 2050. They're not leaving, so it's just
Right.
weird to. I don't know, man. We talked about it.
I just hated it for it to end this way with Woodruff. He seems like an unbelievable guy. Everything I've ever read about him, it seemed like he loved being in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
He obviously did great things for Milwaukee on the field and off the field.
He physically looks like he could be a brewer. He could brew beer. I mean, he's got the beard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, I just want Brandon Woodruff to get healthy. Let's get healthy during 2024. Let's get you on a team that's ready to win come
Red Sox
2025. And I want Brandon Woodruff to be healthy again come 2025 and do his thing. And yeah, we'll talk Brewers another day, but that's about to be a total mess and train wreck there.
It's gonna be bad. Hey, real quick, in 11 starts, how about a 5-1 win-loss record, 2.28 ERA, a WHIP of 0.82. If this
That'll
dude
play.
It'll play, baby. He goes to the Rays. Sorry, Garrett Cole, you're only getting one Cy Young, because unless he wins another one next year when he's hurt, because this guy, Brandon Woodruff, to the Rays. That's what we are. Okay, we're keeping the Orioles accountable. Kansas City built around Bobby Witt, and now Brandon Woodruff to the Rays, bringing the heat.
I like the sound of that. I like that.
It's getting a little wordy, but I mean, they're all three. Those are our pillars. Okay. No, dude, I can't wait to see what happens next. But I'm with you, dude. He's 30 years old. Let's see it. Stay healthy for a year, and he is absolutely spectacular. So, I mean, Corbin Burns, he won the Cy Young with them, the Brewers, and so he always seemed like the number one guy. But really, if you go, tit for tat, or however you want to say it, it could be Woodruff.
He was the heart and soul, man.
1A, 1B, and there is no doubt. Dude, heart and soul being ripped out on our next point. Real quick, let's hit on it. Oakland A's officially moving to Vegas after the owner's vote is unanimous. I don't know how many times I've said unanimous this episode.
A lot.
It's got to be like double digits, right? Okay, so peeling back to the Oakland thing, there was a plea, I think, from the fans and the mayor of Oakland to like, don't do this right before the vote. Everybody voted for it to happen. It's really sad. It's sad for Oakland. Here's the weird thing, though. They're going to Vegas. Their AAA stadium has been voted the best AAA stadium in America like 3 of the last 4 years. So they're going to play in Vegas. But it's from 2025 to 2027. So what are we doing in 2024? Because you got to think they're not playing in the Coliseum, right?
I mean, I don't know where else they're going to play.
Who's going to show up, dude? Nobody's going to come.
Nobody shows up anyways.
That's true.
Their team is god awful right now. So I mean, it's going to be a total waste of a year. And I hate to say it because it's the last year in Oakland, but it's going to be a total waste of a year. They're going to put out essentially a AAA team on the field for the last year in Oakland. Like, it's just a mess. Like, the owner, it's just, this whole thing's a total money grab.
Did you hear what he said? Did you hear it? Because it's despicable.
No.
He said it's been harder for him than it has been the Oakland fans.
Oh, please. Yeah. Like, I mean, what else would you expect? I mean, this is just a total money grab. It's a greedy owner that doesn't care about winning, just cares about, building up the business of the franchise. It just so happens to be a baseball team.
Yeah.
So anyways, here's my thing. I just want to, for the A's sake,
Yeah.
fast forward a few years, get some more talent into that franchise, develop them,
Mhm.
and I just hope that they keep Mark Kotsay around for whenever, hopefully they do get good again, to
Yeah.
where he doesn't have to go through all these awful years, and hopefully there's something brighter on the end of this. But I don't really have much else to say because it's not anything good to say about the A's at this point.
Yeah.
So that's just kind of where I'm at on it.
Yeah. Last kind of quick point. I was reading about this. Vegas it's kind of like Hawaii. Like a lot of people who come, it's like we're
Tourists.
tourists. We're traveling. It's for a vacation.
Yep.
How sustainable is filling up a $35,000 baseball stadium on a Monday night? You know what I mean? Like
I agree.
It's going to be like 162 away games. Is essentially what I was reading. Now this is all a projection, and it's hard to say, but it is interesting. It's going to be.
I think it's gonna be really important for them to actually. I know this sounds crazy right now, given the state of that ball club and the roster.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's gonna be really important though for them to get good by the time that they open that brand new ballpark. Because the reason I say that is hockey. Vegas Golden Knights were an expansion team several years ago, but they were very good from the get-go. Right? And they actually won, if I'm not mistaken, the Stanley Cup last year. Correct. And so it's been a super quick, like right from the get-go, they've been really good. So essentially the Vegas residents have taken up the team as the home team, and I think it's going to have to be kind of the same thing with the baseball team. They're going to have to figure out, how do we get good by the time 2027, 2028 rolls around when we open up the new stadium? Or else it's exactly what you said. Nobody's going to show up to watch a awful team. Yeah. You know, the Raiders can do it because it's the NFL.
And there's
the Golden Knights have done it because they're so good now in the NHL and they put a great product on the ice. So the challenge is going to be, if you're the A's, how do you do this in a couple of years? How do you turn this thing around?
It's going to be very interesting, man. It's hard to say because it doesn't seem like, Zach Goloff, but other than that, who do they got coming in the pipeline? Nobody. And you don't have any big names to trade. You already did that. You already got rid of you got rid of Sean Murphy and Matt Olson. And, dude, it's going to be wild. It's going to be wild. All right, a couple more things, guys. Brian Cashman's weird comments. I feel like I had to bend your ear on this because it was so weird. First off, okay, and this is, I don't have like specifics of what he said throughout this, but I watched a lot of it. His little press conference he did, it was about an hour long. He stood in the middle of a circle and essentially just kind of went at it, just defended his honor, defended the Yankees. But it was a weird vibe. It was a weird tone. We were throwing some expletives around, which this is a family show, Will. When I publish this, I have to say, is there language in it? I always put no. So we're not going to repeat anything. But it is it's very interesting when he got to talking about Carlos Stanton. Who is that? Giancarlo Stanton. It used to be Mike, but it's Giancarlo. Who is Carlos Stanton? Okay, Giancarlo.
If he has another season like he did last year, we'll call him Carlos Stanton.
We're gonna have to cut down his name. You can't be like Giancarlo and you hit 190. You just can't. Can't do it. So Cashman basically said, we've all lived and we've all seen Stanton get hurt, and it seems to be part of his game, so we're just going to plan for it. And on the surface, that doesn't seem awful, but it's kind of like, don't say it. It's just not productive. His agent came out a couple of days later and was like, I think it's a good reminder to all free agents, foreign and domestic, that signing in New York, you play for a team, you've got to be made of Teflon, both mentally and physically, because you never can let your guard down, even in the off season. Now, the reason why this is important is Yamamoto is represented by this same agent. So I'm not saying he burnt bridges, because I kind of feel like he's just going to go to whoever writes the biggest paycheck. But it's definitely not a positive, right?
Yeah, kind of with you. I can't disagree with anything he said, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, I've kind of alluded to this. I mean, when you sign a contract with the New York Yankees, it's different. It's different than any other franchise in the sport, whether you like that or not. Like I think that's reality.
Yeah.
There's a pressure that goes with it that's unlike any other market. There's just a pressure of the history and the prestige. Like you look in their outfield and you see all the monuments, right? So it's just different. And some guys can handle it, some guys can't.
Yeah.
Go back and look at Sonny Gray's stats when he was a Yankee. Like they weren't pretty. And obviously John Carlos had a hard time staying healthy. And I mean, that is what it is. Like you can't, there's nothing you can really defend on it though, right? Like
Yeah.
he's missed a lot of games. He hasn't been on the field much. When he has been on the field, he hasn't been that great.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. Brian Cashman is under insane pressure now. And I think he realizes that. How he survived this long is beyond me.
Dude, don't know.
But I think he's definitely probably feeling the pressure, especially after this last year of them totally missing the playoffs, finishing fourth in the division, which, let's face it, that's unacceptable for the Yankees.
Yep.
So anyways, what he said was true, but I'm with you. Why do you say it right now, especially?
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see if this does have some type of ripple effect in one way, shape, or form.
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see what happens with Yamamoto, but I tell you what, though, what happens with Stanton? Like, is he just gonna take it and just come back next year like he always has, or is he gonna one out of there? Is he gonna? I mean, I don't think there is a way out of there. Honestly,
no. He's under contract for 4 more years for a grand total of $98 million more. Like,
yeah. So I guess, does this motivate you, Giancarlo, to be better again? Right?
yeah.
I'm interested to see how this plays out. It's not a good look. Everybody's under crazy pressure. How would you like to be Aaron Boone right now? Like, it's crazy.
Yeah. Yep. It's it's weird, man. As a Red Sox fan, I'm here for it. But
as a Rays fan.
And a Rays fan, dude. Yeah. But he's not going anywhere. The crazy thing is, listen, he had a very Kyle Schwarber-ish kind of year, right? He had 24 home runs. He only played in 100 games. He had 60 RBIs. The batting average was abysmal. 191. He's got a little Javi Baez in him. He'll stretch the strike zone out on you. There's no doubt about it. But I don't know if you've recently watched. I would say probably 6 months ago. I don't know YouTube's algorithm, but in working on the video aspect of this, I'll have just highlight reels pop up on like my videos to like suggest. And one of them was like, it literally said Mike Stanton. Okay, so Giancarlo back when he was playing for Miami. This dude hit a ball as far as anybody. Yeah. And it's like, I see why the Yankees were psyched about this. So obviously hindsight's 2020. I don't know what you do. I'm with you. I don't think you say that. It's definitely weird, but we'll move on. And the last thing we're going to talk about, Will, is there was a pretty big trade. And, not that I feel like we disagreed, but I think our motives felt different in this trade. And, of course, we're going to talk about it is the White Sox and Braves trade. Yep. And I got it right here. I got to pull it up on my phone. So going from the Braves to the White Sox, you got some names here, man. What about Mike Soroka, Jared Schuster, Nicky Lopez, Brendan Shoemake, and Riley Goins? And then the Braves got, who'd they get back, Will?
Aaron Bummer.
Okay. So we land a little bit different, I think, in our opinion of this trade, because a couple of days ago was the deadline that your 40-man had to be under the 40-man mark. And the Braves essentially had 42 guys on that list. So they were either going to have to cut guys or kind of throw them in this deal. And I think the only other guy, there was Soroka. He was out of options. So if he's not making the team, you basically have to cut him.
Mm-hmm.
But so in my mind, I don't hate it. I get why they did it. but I don't know that Aaron Bummer is going to be like this world beater. I mean, he had a really tough year last year. He's got good stuff. Maybe the Braves think they can tap into something. What are your takeaways?
Yeah, here's my thing. I thought it was a great move for both sides. And when I say that, you have to consider where both of these franchises currently are right now.
Yeah.
Atlanta Braves are arguably the best team in baseball. Even though they got bounced by the Phillies, they are still arguably, talent-wise, the best team in baseball. So their window to win championships is right now, right? Like these next 3, 4, 5 years, maybe. It is Atlanta Braves. Like they might be the betting favorites for the next 4 or 5 years to win the World Series before the season starts, right? So if you're the Braves, you're just looking for guys right now that can help you win ball games and, more importantly, help you win in the postseason. And so left-handed relief pitchers do not grow on trees.
True.
And guys who can throw as hard as a guy like Aaron Bummer, I think he throws in the upper 90s, has really good stuff.
Yeah.
These guys are hard to find. And so if you're the Atlanta Braves, this fits a need. AJ Minter's been worked extremely hard these past couple of years. So you get a guy in there that can essentially, has stuff like AJ Minter does, maybe get him in a 7th or 8th inning role, match him up against lefties. I think it's a great piece for the Braves to get.
Yeah.
And here's my last point on kind of comparing the franchises. Let's face it. The White Sox are an absolute disaster right now. Okay. Yeah. And so I don't trust them if this will never happen, but if the Tampa Bay Rays traded Shane McClanahan to the White Sox, I feel like the White Sox could figure out a way to screw it up.
No doubt.
So I have zero faith in the White Sox developing guys. Yeah. And I have full faith in the Braves developing guys. So I feel like you get a guy with a talent of a guy like Aaron Bummer, and if you traded him, in this case to the Braves or a team like the Rays or the Dodgers, I think he'll fit in perfectly. I think he'll pitch extremely well from the get-go, and I think he'll be a key piece for him moving forward. Obviously, I'm sure the Braves did not want to necessarily give up some of those guys that they did.
Yeah.
But let's face it, those guys did not really impress very much this past year. Yeah. And given the state that the Braves are trying to win now, those guys aren't necessarily going to help them right now. And the White Sox, they're not going anywhere anytime soon, so they can afford to take a chance on a package of players like this and hope that at least one of them pans out and ends up being a really good player for them.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's a great point. They have to imagine they can find something with Bummer. I mean, that's the only thing. And then I like it better for the White Sox than I do with the Braves. The thing about the Bummer aspect of it is, the bullpen's kind of a crapshoot anyway. And so can he be real good? He's had great years in the past, so I can read the tea leaves and get excited about that. And I love what you said about the left-handedness. If you had to look at this team and say there is an issue, it is the bullpen in Atlanta. Yeah. But I like it better for the White Sox just because of those are some names, man. I mean, did Jared Schuster, am I misremembering this? Did he not start a playoff game against the Phillies? Or
no, I don't think he started.
I'm thinking of what's that young man's name?
Bryce Elder.
That's what I'm thinking.
Bryce Elder's the one that out of all their young promising arms, other than Wright, what's his name? He's got 2 last names, Schuster, something like that.
Oh, Smith Schuster. I don't know.
Yes.
Put it number 5 on the list. What we were wrong about right now.
Yeah, but he I think him,
Smith Shaver. That's what it is.
Yes, him and Bryce Elder.
Yeah.
If you're the Atlanta Braves, those are the 2 guys that looked like, given this past year, can really help them moving forward.
Yeah,
and therefore it made Soroka and Schuster more expendable.
Yeah.
Right. And last thing on Bummer, I'm pretty sure he's under team control through 2026. So that's also a big deal too.
Yeah. signed a 5-year deal in 2020. So yes, depending on when he signed it. So they'll have him for a few years. Yeah, 30 years old. Let's see what we get. Been a weird offseason so far for the Bravos because I don't know if you saw this. They traded Kyle Wright, who was the wins leader.
To the Royals?
Going to it. Say, hey, we're getting talent around Bobby Witt,
Bobby Witt, baby.
Here we go. Oh, man. So you got to think they're cooking something up. They're going to look. We're going to talk about it next week. Free agent predictions. I think they're going to go out and get one of those other starting pitchers.
I agree.
So it's going to be a lot of fun. Will, man, what an episode. We got to be knocking on an hour and 20. We're not quite there yet.
This was a fun one.
Oh, so much fun. We had so much good stuff to talk about. Anything for the people before we head on out of here?
No, man, these mics right now are on fire.
Yeah.
So let's let them cool off for a little bit. Let's let our listeners' ears cool off for another week. But we're going to bring it again next week with some predictions on free agency.
Yeah.
And then guess what?
Then breakdown, baby.
Position breakdowns coming. They're coming in a couple of weeks. I can't wait.
Yeah, I'm excited. Kind of dive back into the fantasy realm of things. I've been out of it for a month or two, so it's gonna be fun. Guys, we appreciate you. If you made it this far, find a mirror in your house and look in it, and just know that you're a fantastic person. We really appreciate you. We love you. Reach out to us on X or Twitter at BTH_Cody and at Will Sism, and then check us out on the YouTube. There'll be a link in the description. It's gonna be a lot of fun. But until next time, thanks for listening to episode 57. Bringing the heat.